Hey y'all, it's Elizabeth again, here with Bridget's Well. I'm actually going to talk tonight about death and dealing with death and dealing with looking forward towards death for loved ones, I guess. I'm just warning you now, this is probably going to be a bit rambly. I've been kind of putting this off, but it just keeps like back of my head knocking. Like, you need to talk about this. So, I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I mean, I know a little bit of what I'm going to talk about, but as far as, I have no plan, really. Part of the reason this has come up for me lately is because we have recently lost one of our cats, and we are looking toward, not looking toward, but we have another one who is terminally ill, and we'll be losing him sometime this year, I would imagine. So, and I realize that there are some people who don't feel that pets are as big of a deal as losing parents and that sort of thing, and I understand, and I get that. And I can't speak to losing a parent, losing a spouse, losing a sister, losing a child. I have never, in this lifetime at least, have never experienced that. So I understand that there is a difference between losing a pet and losing a human family member for a lot of people. And, you know, like I said, I haven't experienced, I've lost my grandparents, all of them. And of course, I mean, at least in my experience, losing a human family member is definitely a longer grief process in some ways. For me, it has been anyway. But losing pets or familiars, our animal companions, is still a difficult process. I want to focus mostly on what we're currently dealing with as far as our cats are concerned, but you never know what might come up. So I have had cats my entire life, and I moved out here like 11 years ago, and at the time I only had one cat, and within a couple years that had grown, maybe not just a couple, yeah, it was a couple years really, that had grown to 5, because I'm a cat lover. And so I've been out here 11 years. I lost one cat 2009-ish maybe. But I know as of course, as people age and as our animals age, we, the expectation that they're going to start passing over is there. So I knew, I mean, all my animals are older except for my, our 2 of our dogs, which we've just had for like, the youngest one we've had for a year, and the other one we've had for 3 or 4 months. So, all my animals are aging or getting into senior and elderly status. So, I'm expecting that the next few years are going to be losses in that area. So, anyway, back at the beginning of January 2017, we lost my cat Dobby. He was like 12, and he had heart problems, and so we lost him, and that was hard. He just wasn't getting any better, and he stopped eating, and his last 24 hours he was with us, he basically stayed in our bed the whole time. He didn't leave. Like, didn't get up to drink, didn't get up to get water, didn't get up to eat, didn't get up to use the bathroom. and just moving around was hard for him. Like, he was having a lot of trouble breathing. So, you know, I knew that day before we put him to sleep that it was time. So that was hard. You know, I've lost animals before. Before that, the most recent one had been my rat terrier, who was almost 17 years old. I'd had him since he was 5 months old. So, you know, I've gone through the aging process with pets before. It's not my first rodeo in that area. So that was rough. You know, it was 2 or 3 days of a lot of crying, and I do believe in reincarnation. I'm not sure if we go to the Summerlands. I don't know. Obviously, I don't remember that part of living before. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I will never ever, if I ever claim to know everything about something, please stop watching my channel, because honestly, I don't know of anyone who knows everything. So, even masters, they don't know everything. And a true master will let you know that they don't know everything. So, I do believe that, as a matter of fact, I even got information after he passed. I knew it was his time. I kept asking, and I kept getting that I was going to have to let him go. Now, that didn't make the process any easier, you know, because the whole way to the vet, the whole way home, you know, you're questioning if you're doing the right thing. So, I do believe in reincarnation. And also, after he had passed and we were getting ready to leave the room where his body was, we turned to get our things, and I heard in my ear, "Thank you," loud and clear. And I honestly do believe it was him saying thank you, because his body was failing and it was time for his spirit to go. You know, I've seen him around the house. I still see him around the house. My husband will see him around the house. He was the most vocal and bossiest of all of our cats, I would say. So his physical presence was definitely missed, but we could feel him spirit-wise. And I also, like, maybe 2 or 3 days after we put him to sleep, I was walking the dogs down the driveway, and I was coming back to the house, and I felt him in the wind. And that's the only way I can explain it. It was like I could literally feel him pass through me on the wind. And another thing he told me after he passed was that he was happy now because he could come with me anywhere. You know, he wasn't tied to the physical body, so he could be anywhere that we were. I also got information that he's going to come back to us. And I told my husband that, because right now we had 4 cats, and 4 cats is a lot. I mean, it's a lot of litter box cleaning, it's a lot of cat food and veterinary care. So we've decided down the road that 2 is going to be our maximum. So I told him that once these cats are gone, they are going to have to, like, share bodies when they come back, because I don't want to do 4 cats again. It's a lot. So anyway, we're kind of getting to the point where we were feeling better about, not feeling better, but, you know, just going through the grieving process, and like you do. And while all this was going on, my other cat, Indigo, developed a bump over his eye, and he's always had allergy issues, and so I just thought that the lump was part of his eye being swollen. I started putting the drops that we had for his eye issues in it. It got to the point where it was really red and swollen, and I was like, well, it's just his allergies again. So I started putting drops in it, thinking that it would help, and of course it didn't. So, and of course the bump was getting bigger. So I took him to the vet, literally like a month after we put Dobby to sleep. And so took him to the vet, and hoping it was like an abscess of some sort. Well, of course it wasn't. So they did not a biopsy, they did a needle aspiration, I think. And the pathology came back carcinoma. So then we took him to the specialty vet just to get a consultation, because our options at this point, we were told, were surgery, you know, chemotherapy or radiation treatment. So at the specialty vet, they looked at it, and he has a tumor in his sinuses that is inoperable. Now, he is also 12 years old. He's in the room here with me. He's watching me talk. He wanted to come in here when I came in, so I let him. We've been letting him do whatever he wants, kind of, since he's been diagnosed. So he has a tumor of his sinuses, and it has actually grown. It was growing fairly rapidly. By the time we actually were able to make the appointment, it had grown more, and was, you know, he would scratch it. Like, it didn't seem to be bothering him a whole lot. He would rub his head against you with it and touch it with his eye. You know, he didn't seem to be in pain. He's still eating and wanting to be around us. So, you know, sure enough, of course, it's a tumor, and it's inoperable because of where it is. They literally cannot go in there into his sinuses and try to grope around and get it all out. So our options were radiation therapy, with radiation, which was thousands of dollars. Chemotherapy, which is a pill, and there might be, and I think there's an injectable form, and then also palliative care. So we've opted to go with the chemotherapy pill, and he gets it 3 times a week. And I don't think it's working. The tumor, the vet told us that we would know within 4 to 6 weeks if it was actually working, because the tumor would start to go down. And from what I can tell, it looks like it's grown. It hasn't gotten bigger this way. It's like growing this way. It's completely like, his eye is completely shut, and it's gone this way. And it's weepy. Sometimes it bleeds. But the vet told us as long as he's still active and eating and wants to be around us and he's not hiding, then, you know, we should continue on. So he gets his chemo medicine 3 times a week. We give him lots of treats and love. But, you know, and even if it is working, I'm not a vet, obviously. Even if it is working, it's not really a cure. It's just basically kind of holding off the inevitable. Which really sucks, because he actually is the sweetest one of all of our kitties. And I love all my cats. They all have different personalities, but he is the sweetest one. Never in the 11 years I've had him has he ever tried to bite or scratch intentionally. Like, he occasionally will accidentally scratch your leg when he wants attention, when he puts his paw on you. He's the sweetest cat of all of them. Now, here we are 2 months later from putting one cat down, and it feels like we're staring death in the face again. I mean, we are staring death in the face again with another one. I don't know how long. When we first took him to the vet and got the diagnosis, I kept hearing 5 months, which would put us into July. We go back to the vet in a couple weeks to get a checkup on him to see how he's doing. And at that point, we will decide what we're going to do going forward, I guess. Which will, if it's not working, it will involve pain medication and palliative care, basically. So here we are, we're staring death in the face. And, you know, it's interesting because as a pagan, I do see the circle, you know, the circle of life, the Lion King. the cycle of life. I do understand. I'm not saying that people that aren't pagan don't understand this, but it just, I think it means something different to us. At least it does to me. I get it. I'm not going to try to extend his life unnecessarily. He's 12. He's lived a very good life. We've given him all the love we can, and I'm not going to put him through radiation. Never mind the fact that if we took him the thousands of dollars it costs to do the radiation, we'd also have to drive him to Knoxville and Atlanta, I think every week or every other week. You know, that's a 3 to 4 hour trip, depending upon which one we were to choose, each way. So, you know, with our finances and, you know, what we're willing to put him through, we decide to go with the chemo pills. But the likelihood of him living out the end of this year is not high. So I understand not aggressively treating death and looking at it as a part of the cycle of life and being able to prepare and let go. So, you know, I understand it's going to happen. You know, one of these days I'll be gone. One of these days you'll be gone. You know, some of us it's sooner than others. Death is scary, and it's not scary to me. I mean, I understand that. I mean, I hope we're reincarnated. That's what I believe. Do I know for sure that's what happens? No. I've had past life readings that resonate really, really well with me, and I feel like, yes, definitely. Oh my God, and so emotional. Anyway, so I bought a book to try and help with this process a little bit, especially since we're dealing with it, you know, twice within the period of 3 months. The Pagan Book of Living and Dying by Starhawk. I haven't gotten that far in it. But it's a bigger book than I expected. It's, you know, it's probably a good inch. I'm really bad at guesstimating that kind of stuff. It's got like 300 pages, and it's really an interesting book, and it goes through a lot of, you know, beliefs about death, and it also has a lot of rituals in it for death, and funerals and memorials, and preparing for death, and talking about death within pagan myth and the deities and pagan traditions. And I was really shocked at how much is in this book. I mean, really, it is a huge resource for anyone dealing with death, facing death. I mean, there's even information here about assisted suicide. So I bought this to help with the process. And so that's where we are. You know, we're facing the death of one of our beloved animals. I'm aging. My husband is aging. Our parents are aging. Eventually, he's actually lost his stepfather, who was like his biological dad and raised him, basically. So he's been through that before, dealing with losing a parent. I have not. It's still on the horizon for me. And I guess it's just part of life, you know, but after Dobby passed, I had a moment of, I'm not getting any more cats. Why in the hell do I keep my heart open? But I think you have to. And I'm not saying that the next day you have to go out and have your heart open if someone just passed. But you have to find a way to keep your heart open and remain open to life if you can. You know, I used to be very, and I still struggle with this sometimes, but I used to be very much an isolationist. I loved the song I Am a Rock by Simon and Garfunkel. And the chorus goes, I am a rock, I am an island. A rock feels no pain and an island never cries. Which is true. But if you don't open your heart, if you don't open your heart, even at the possibility of loss, you'll never know the love that you can receive. So, yes, death is scary, and losing people and animals and things that you love is really hard. It's really hard and it sucks. And it may take months or years to get over that. I know when my grandmother passed when I was in college, it took me a good 10 years before I could think about her without getting teary-eyed. You know, that was the first death that really knocked me over, was her death. So, you know, but you can't close your heart to life. You have to keep your heart open. Or at least close it down for a bit and then reopen it, because life needs you. Life needs all of us. You know, it's going to suck when Indigo goes, just like it sucked when we had to put Dobby to sleep. It's not an easy choice, you know, ending a life. But sometimes it's the one you have to make. So, you know, sometimes the hardest choice you have to make is the right one. So, anyway, I've rambled a bit. I debated doing this video because it's not really a typical pagan topic. I'm way behind on the pagan YouTube challenge. So I was like, I really just need to do one of those videos, but this topic has been on my mind for a minute ever since Indigo was diagnosed. So I guess tonight was the night. Hopefully this was a decent video to watch if you made it all the way through. Hopefully it may have helped somebody. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you many, many blessings.